now. They're not earth-shattering comments anymore. They fall into the platitude category. And the first one would be the consumer is in control. Well, that's something that we've known for a number of years, and all of us in the industry, what are we doing about this? Are we sitting around the table talking about the consumer is in control? When we look at groups of people like who were just up here on the stage developing new technology, that is the future of our business. And with us in the industry, if we don't step up and take control of it ourselves, the consumer will continue to be in control. Yes, there are 73 million echo boomers. And those are the 18 to 34-year-olds who are going to drive this industry and drive the economics in general for the next 30 years. Thank goodness that group is here. We need to identify how they purchase property and how they act as consumers and collaborate with them. The current economic conditions. Well, you know what? We've been in a real estate downturn for 5 years. And so brokers are still sitting around trying to figure out how to downsize their companies. I'm surprised some of these broker owners are still in business and able to sit somewhere and talk about how to downsize or right-size their companies. And yes, the current model is old and broken. So we need to throw all of that stuff out the window and look at what the industry needs to look like. We have to leave the past behind. And for broker owners, I want to say, agents don't want to work in a cube farm anymore. They just simply don't. How can you be creative sitting in an environment like that? And sadly, there are companies that are still developing offices like this. An agent, the consumer does not want to see a full body shot photo of you telling them how great you are. They want to see your value proposition. They don't want to see print advertising with your picture larger than the property. That stuff needs to go. And so what we've done over the past several months at Better Homes and Gardens is we sat down as a team and we started looking at what the brokerage of the future needs to be. And the one thing that became loud and clear to us early on is that there is no one brokerage of the future model. And so one of the things that we did was we created a matrix that helped us in the gathering of information and putting the information together. It helped us identify what some of these different models might look like. So there's not one way to size up the future. Some companies have many offices, some companies have single offices, some companies need to have the bricks and mortar, other companies don't. And there are some of you sitting in this audience that fall into all of those categories. And so we took a whimsical approach when we developed this matrix, and we decided to categorize some of these real estate companies as cars, as automobiles. And one of the interesting things, of course, now today is that the Cash for Clunkers program is in potentially direct competition with the first-time homebuyers program. But we didn't know that when we developed this. And so if you look at some of these models, the SUV is the big multi-office company that is not going to go away. They need to have their multiple offices and need to continue to grow that. The compact model is bricks and mortar, one office company that is in a niche market. The smart car, of course, is the no bricks and mortar, web-centric company that has been able to move in a totally different direction. And the hybrid is a combination of everything. And there are companies like that out there that fall into all of those categories. So it can't just be about the bricks and mortar, though. And there are things that we need to change, a lot of things. And so I've pulled some of the things out just to briefly touch on this morning. And of course, one is the physical office space. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. I want to talk about culture, though. And when you think about the culture in days gone by, and that still somewhat exists today, that culture is an agent-driven environment where the broker owners have become landlords in many cases, and the agents are really, controlling everything. That needs to change. What we need to have is a situation that is based on trust, where there's a trust relationship and a collaborative relationship between that broker and agent, so they can both go out and service the needs of the consumers. It's not good enough just to have a website anymore, and I'm going to say that the consumer is going elsewhere for the information. They're not going to your websites. They're going to other sites, and so you need to think about how to redesign your technology strategy moving forward as well. Lead generation. Now, that has been put in the hands of the agents over the past several years, and that needs to be taken out. It needs to be handled by professionals. Let agents do what they do best, and that is help people buy and sell real estate. It's not managing leads, and brokers should take that back and start working to make sure that that is what happens in the future. Ancillary services. Some of the real estate companies that are alive today are alive only because they built strong ancillary services verticals within their business. Mortgage, title, and now REO verticals are emerging. Relocation and lead generation needs to fall into that category as well. Education needs to change in this industry. We don't need to teach our agents the hard sell anymore. The consumer of today and tomorrow isn't interested in that. They're looking for a partner, a trusted advisor that they can work with to help find the biggest assets in their lives. Talent attraction. We don't need agents puppy farms. We need to find talent that is going to drive our businesses for the next 20 to 30 years. And so we need to start looking at that differently, and of course, the numbers as well. And there's one big one that is glaring out there that I want to talk about, and that is branding. And if we look at how we've been branding ourselves within this industry, it's been all about me, me, me. That needs to change. The consumer wants to know what your value proposition is. They don't want to know that you're the #1 agent for the past 15 years. So branding for companies and for agents has become more important than ever. So it can't just be about the office, though. It can't just be creating a startup-esque environment and not having all of the other things in behind that. That's not going to do it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and some of that work needs to be done around the numbers. And so when we think about the numbers, and of course one of the things that we worked on were P&Ls to demonstrate what financially the brokerage of the future needed to look like, and can't possibly put that information up here today for you. And so what I did was extracted just a portion of it. And when you look at this, I'm going to tell you that, and this is according to Real Trends, the average office size is 41 agents. This is across the U.S., national average, and each agent has 124 square feet. That's too much. And when I think back 10 years ago to a similar survey that was conducted, at that time, every agent had 139 square feet. So when we think about how much we've evolved technologically, and we have not decreased our square footage significantly, that's a huge problem. And so what we're suggesting is that square footage needs to come down to at least 49 square feet per agent. And I know there are companies out here in the audience that have successfully gone much lower than that, and I see that happening in the future, but it has to be one step at a time. Building costs, and this again is according to Real Trends, building costs are between 24 and 28% of your company dollar. That's huge. That needs to change. And so making adjustments like that will help you create a profitable business in the future. And so my 10 minutes are up, but I want to, as I mentioned earlier, I want to say that we're going to continue this conversation in the weeks and months to come. And one of the things that we've done is create a website. It's called nextgenerationbrokerage.com. And in fact, it's a link to